The attack on our Capitol made things extremely clear yesterday. We have to restore reality, or we are going to lose everything. There were some pretty strong statements from Republicans, of all people, about how Trump's lies and disinformation, incited this insurrection. That's true, and he must be held to account for his dereliction of duty and abuse of power. But there is more here, and we need to face it squarely. Orr Corrin is a professor at Indiana University and an expert on political violence. Let me read you a bit of what he said in this interview yesterday with The Conversation. I quote, "What hugely contributed to all of this misinformation, people mobilized based on a conspiracy theory with no evidence. I think this is a major problem, and that has to be addressed. I don't know how, but it is really crucial to address this underlying problem, that people believe in what they feel is real, not what is real." You could really hear this corrosive alternative reality at work yesterday. Check out these interviews by British television with the rioters inside of the Capitol. Let's play that clip real quick.
Hill police officers, this was a losing battle.
This is exactly what was feared, but in no way is this a surprise. It has been fueled by the president's rhetoric, and it's increasingly clear this election has not healed the wounds. It has simply amplified them.
We followed the aggrieved and infuriated Trump supporters as they stormed the building. Through broken windows and doors they had forced open. And for a few heady moments they felt they had won a precious victory. Now in the very heart of the congressional building.
What's the purpose of storming Congress itself?
Because they work for us. They don't get to steal it from us. They don't get to tell us we didn't see what we saw.
We respect the law. We were good people. The government did this to us. We were normal, good, law-abiding citizens, and you guys did this to us. We want our country back. We are protesting for our freedom right now. That's the difference.
What's the purpose of storming Congress?
How do I know that?
These people believe in what they feel is real, not what is real. They believe so thoroughly in a complete fraud that they ransacked the Capitol and set off confrontations that left 4 people dead. Professor Corrin says he usually sees this kind of political violence in countries that don't have institutions for resolving election disputes. In this case, we do have strong institutions, but Trump and his cronies attacked them, declared war on them, ripped away at them, fired folks whenever they could. Professor Corrin warns that once you engage in political violence, it becomes easier to do it again. And we saw this with Charlottesville. We saw this with the threats against the Michigan governor. And we saw it yesterday. But he says something else too. An effective response can help strengthen these institutions. So this is what we need: an effective response now. Shout out to Senator Markey, who unleashed a verbal manifesto on the failures of our republic and what must be done immediately to address them. Let's roll that clip of Senator Markey.
Because the list of statutes that this latest shocking presidential phone call may violate is too long to recite. The president's words on that phone call, indeed his conduct since the election, demand a serious response, one much more serious than the sham before us today. First, federal and state law enforcement authorities should investigate Donald Trump for election fraud, extortion, conspiracy, and whatever other charges fit the bill. And if warranted, indict and try him for any crimes he has committed. Second, we must recognize that Donald Trump is and will remain a danger to our Constitution and our democracy. So while time is certainly limited, we should impeach Trump again and bar him from holding office in the future. And finally, we should abolish the Electoral College. It is a vestige of a racist Jim Crow America, and we have outgrown it. Every person's vote in every state should count just the same. One person, one vote. Election fraud and reform are very serious issues. Election reform absolutely should be debated in Congress, which is why instead of today's kabuki theater, I invite my Republican colleagues to stand up and say, yes, we need to protect and expand voting rights and election security. We need automatic voter registration. We need online voter registration. We need same-day voter registration. We should make Election Day a federal holiday. We should restore voting rights to people with prior felony convictions. We should support independent redistricting commissions. Let's spend our time on the floor debating that, debating how to reduce the influence of big money in our political system, to slow the revolving door between government officials and lobbyists, to stop gerrymandering and voter suppression. That's the real election reform that we should be debating and supporting.
I see 6 points that must be addressed now. Let's go through them point by point. Obviously, number one, every insurrectionist identified as having been inside the Capitol must be prosecuted. We already know who many of these vandals were, Proud Boys and Q followers. They won't be hard to find. Folks are already doing investigative work and recognizing some from other events or skirmishes. Number two, the inciters and the enablers must be held to account. Trump is, of course, at the top of this list. Impeach him or remove him through the 25th Amendment or indict him on January 20th. Both parties in both houses should surely censure him for launching an attack on them. But remember, Trump had a lot of help. It was Giuliani who said, settle the election by combat. Number three, there are U.S. senators like Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley and the other political bottom feeders who played politics with this tinderbox. This has to be a limit. There has to be a limit. Enough is enough. If Republicans reward them for this, then we know which side they're really on. I thought they were they valued institutions and democracy. So Senator McConnell, Senator Romney, Senator Graham, did you really mean the words that you said in those nice speeches from the floor of the Senate yesterday? Then you can't stop there. The Senate sets the requirements for its own members, even ones who think you need a Trump coalition to win the presidency in 2024. Number four, a special mention here for the 121 Republicans in the House who voted to overturn electoral votes for Joe Biden. After their offices were stormed, windows were bashed, guns were drawn, and 4 people died. How can this be? I'll tell you in one word, gerrymandering. And that's why Senator Markey mentioned that. The dark conspiracy between Democrats and Republicans in state after state has come home to roost. Those safe districts are really just political filter bubbles in which the only thing constituents are kept safe from is reality. Number five, now speaking of filter bubbles, the time has come to reckon with these big tech companies. They made this possible. They facilitated, they boosted it for years. They have been monetizing anger and rage. Facebook led a group where this was planned to grow to 300,000 users before they thought, oh, maybe we should shut this down. Inciting hate. Let's just be very clear. This is not, taking on free speech. These are rooms where folks are organizing violence. That is not protected by free speech. And Democrats, it is time to break up with big tech. And then we need to break up big tech. Number six, finally, we can't just call out the other side. We need to clean up our own house too, of course. I like being called a progressive because the label says what we believe. We want to make progress at improving people's lives. But you can't improve what you don't see or acknowledge. Understanding reality wherever it is, whatever it is an essential step to progress. Yet a number of our media voices have engaged in dangerous dancing with peddlers of fake realities. There is no excuse. From this day on, there should be no excuse. You can't any longer say, you don't get how dangerous this is. You can't dance with Gavin McInnes or Alex Jones on your platform, or ignore Trump for 4 years and solely go after Democrats. Or in the lead up to this right-wing, well-organized effort, make everything about channeling the progressive movement's energy into going after the squad and anyone who called you out on your side. I'll ask after yesterday, which side are you on? Thanks for watching and listening to The Nomiki Show. But remember to click like and subscribe on YouTube, and please share on social media. If you're not already a patron, please join us for as low as $5 a month on patreon.com/The Nomiki Show for early and special content. That investment makes a huge difference. We are not corporate media raking in the dough. It's really you guys that are keeping us going. So please consider being a patron. And to our current patrons, thank you so much. We are incredibly grateful to you. We also now have swag. So check us out on thenomikishow.com to get your mugs, your totes, and your stickers.